Hi, I'm Danger Dan Jers, the host and GM of the D&D Real Play podcast, D&D Dark. Join us on Wednesdays for an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure, starring some of history's most infamous monsters.
I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, our barbarian.
I am Daniel Cruz. I am playing Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric.
I'm Jordan, and I play Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock.
I am Grayson, playing Jack Griffin, the Invisible Man, the party's rogue.
I am Aaron. I play the Phantom of the Opera, our bard.
For more information, go to dndarkpodcast.com and listen to us anywhere you find podcasts.
You've read the books. You've learned the rules. You've played the games. And so is your mom. Just making sure you're paying attention. Now, it's time for something completely off base. From the same guys who haven't done anything exciting yet are the Paladins of Podcast, Rob and Potato. Listen in as they talk about all things related to pen and paper games, challenge rules, and go off script. This is the high fantasy commentary you didn't ask for, but your mom did. This is the Epic Table Audio Show.
Welcome back to Epic Table Games Audio Show, guys. This is your Paladins of Podcast, Rob and Potato.
How's it going, Rob?
Not too bad, man. Christmas is over, the holiday New Year is over, and I'm irritated.
I'm still unpacking the fat I threw back on.
Did you ever lose it?
No. I'm always gaining.
You know what? That's how it does in the gym, too. But we are not a health podcast, are we?
We could be.
But we won't be. So, guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about some Epic Table Games things right away because, as we mentioned earlier, before the new year, we were going to do a few small changes to the website.
Yes.
And we rolled out a new website. We haven't actually posted a link. We just hope you guys go to it. I'd have to say I'm bad at business, if that's the case, by the way. But that is definitely the case. Anyhow, I want to talk about a specific product because it's the one product on the page that has a secondary type that I really like. And that is our small dungeon. Now, about our small dungeon, if you guys are into 3D printing, etc., you do know that it is an OpenForge product designed by Devin Jones, and it features OpenLock technology, and we are compatible with OpenLock. We do have our commercial license for OpenLock.
Yes.
So we can do that. And this ability to sell comes from attribution, and we got that down. So we're all covered there. Don't worry about that. But the small dungeon, we offer wall height.
Yes, and this is actually a big thing, and I really like that we pulled this off.
Yes, absolutely. We have half-height walls and full-height walls. And for our dungeons, this is really cool because when you think about dungeons, when you see a lot of different live play groups on their video casts, a lot of them have full-height walls.
Yep.
And they look great.
They do look great. Look phenomenal.
Absolutely. But when I play, I prefer half-height walls.
I think half height helps only so you can see everything a bit better.
Right.
Because I noticed when we have a full height whole scenario built up on the table, sometimes I have to stand up and lean over to see what's going on and move my guy.
Yeah, there's definitely that issue, and we also have the issue of a lot of the miniatures that you use aren't just static pillars. They are dynamically posed. They have limbs that stick out.
Stick out past their grid a little bit.
Right, and so having a half-height wall allows for that extra clearance.
A little bit of a stretching room.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I love the way the full-height walls look. I mean, when I think about it, that is what I envision.
Right.
But I prefer the play of half-height.
And the fact that we gave an option for your taste as well, if you ever want to buy a small dungeon, perfect.
Absolutely. And remember, it's the expansion to all of the other OpenForge and OpenLock material that we have to offer. So you can always buy just walls or additional expansions, etc. And they're all going to be compatible.
Yes.
So they all come unpainted, non-primed. So they come raw. You can do it all yourself, make it fit your style. All right, now with that, you know what I also want to add, and I'm hopefully going to do it soon, is apparel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife owns Sassy Craft, which is more of a apparel and crafting business. And we're definitely going to get some shirts done up, some mugs, etc. I want to get those on there pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
Those are always fun.
I want a shirt.
Actually, you should have a shirt.
I want another shirt.
A second shirt.
I want 4 shirts.
4 more shirts or 4 shirts total?
4 shirts total times 8. Just give me a shirt for every day of the year, please. I'll definitely pay for it. Don't worry.
I mean, if you're going to pay for it, we can. Why not? Why not? So, yeah. Well, now with that out of the way, because that's really our biggest business thing, we know that we also mentioned wanting to do a little bit more video work, and our plan is to hopefully start in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And we don't know how long it's going to take to edit and upload, because truthfully, between our full-time families, our full-time jobs, and our full-time lives, content creation is hard.
It is, and video editing is actually harder than audio editing.
Yeah.
You got a lot of the setup you got to do, and then when you're done recording, you got to tear it down. Hopefully the file is good, not bugged in any way.
Right, right.
It's a hassle, but we want to do more video content because that'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So I think we're gonna start playing around with it, and we're gonna start posting when we like stuff. And I'm not sure if our listeners have actually noticed, but these episodes do not get very edited. They're not heavily edited.
We're pretty raw.
Oh yeah, it's one take, maybe adjust a few levels here and there. Every now and then one of us sounds like we're a mile away, and we want to get content out because quality improves with quality.
Yep.
So it reminds me of a experiment I read about, how an art class was divided into 2 groups. One group was told to make the one perfect pot by the end of the class, and the other half of the class was told to make as many pots as possible by the end of the class.
All right.
So after weeks and weeks have gone by, perfect potters, they made 0 pots because they were trying to theorize the most perfect pot. While the quantity potters, their quality improved exponentially because they were constantly making products.
Practice makes better.
That's right. And in our case, practice improves perfection. So let's kind of jump right into some other stuff. I was looking on Reddit, and there was one thing that we just briefly talked about before the show was starting, and that was prestige classes in Pathfinder.
Yes.
And I specifically say Pathfinder here because the Reddit community in Pathfinder specific is looking to build a spiritual community successor to 1st edition Pathfinder. And the reason is they don't much like 2nd edition. Truthfully, I don't much like 2nd edition either. I've got the book, I've read it, and it feels a little bit too much like 5e.
There's a lot of good ideas, but overall, I feel playing 1st edition is more fun for me.
Absolutely. But they brought up about prestige classes. And this thing about prestige classes, Potato, what did you say about them earlier?
It's like you're tacking on extra flavor after trying to meet very harsh prerequisites in order to even get it.
That's right. So it got me thinking, and I tried not to talk about it too much before the episode, and I probably should have because I would have remembered everything a little bit better. But the idea was that in 3rd edition, when prestige classes really started to come out, or 3.5 when prestige classes had a great founding, it was a way to enhance your character the next level, kind of like to specialize your character in certain things. Pathfinder's prestige classes, like you said, have the flavor, but they are lacking the punch from taking such a focused look or path on your character, because you're right, you have so many prereqs that are incredibly painful to have to meet. And it also plays into what we know is commonly a feat tax, essentially.
That's what it is, yeah.
It's the same idea. And for those of you who aren't familiar about feat tax, it's when you have to take certain feats just to essentially unlock another feat that you need or want.
Yeah, it's not like a feat tree. It's like, here's some junk feats that you really don't even want, but you have to get it in order to get the feat that you do want.
Right.
And you can always, excuse me, you can always retrain after the fact.
Nope.
That's a hassle. You can't retrain feats? I thought you could.
You can retrain feats.
But when you get rid of it, you don't meet the prerequisites anymore.
Right.
That's garbage.
It is.
I totally thought that was your loophole, but I guess not.
No, unfortunately, it's not really a loophole. But when we look at our prestige classes, the flavor is there. They're great concepts, great ideas. And initially, the prestige classes were a little bit more limited, and the archetypes of your base classes was very wide and broad.
Oh, I love the archetypes in Pathfinder. He did a good job.
I think the archetypes were initially there to replace a lot of the idea of prestige classes. Prestige classes were still there, but I think by taking specific core class archetypes was their spiritual succession in the beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I like that. I thought their archetypes were great.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, it's a system that you kind of see a little bit of in 5th edition with backgrounds.
Yeah. And doesn't 5th edition have subclasses?
I believe
Isn't that a thing?
I believe so. And I know this is horrible because as big of a nerd as I am, and I've been playing tabletop games for just over 20 years now. 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons was released almost 10 years ago.
That's crazy to think about. Wow.
Yeah. I think we're right about 8 years, but so I round up to 10
right.
here. But I finally picked up my first 5th edition book.
Well, it's more than me. I mean, because of 5th ed, I know that there's beholders in there. That's kind of about it.
I mean, yeah, truthfully, we actually, because of all of the release information that we've heard on like the Mind Flayer Dragon and what is the Elder Brain Dragon or whatever, like they released some cool content. I'm like, this is pretty cool. I love the lore behind it. I love all the character ideas, etc. I just don't like the mechanics.
Yeah, 5th ed, I want to learn. I want to play it, give it a good shake of it, because I think I played it once and I didn't understand what was happening because I was still too greenhorn to begin with.
Right, and that makes sense.
But it's one of those systems. I'm like, I don't know, something about it.
Well, so I got this 5th edition book. Right, we are so off topic from where we started, actually. So I got this 5th edition book. I got the Player's Handbook, and I'm like, you know what? I need the Player's Handbook. Because I'll tell you about why, like my thought process here. I'm like, you know what? There's a game system that overlays on top of the 5th edition mechanics, and I should probably get the Player's Handbook to check everything out, make sure it all works, and it's all kosher. Now this is where you can tell that my experience really lies in Pathfinder, because in Pathfinder you have the core rulebook,
yes,
which is your Player's Handbook. And the DMG, and a little bit of a bestiary in it.
Yeah.
Whereas in D&D, you better buy all 3 goddamn books.
Yeah, that's how they have it.
So I bought the Player's Handbook thinking this is the basics. No, I forgot how D&D works. Which if I just turned to my left and I would have looked at my bookshelf anyway, I would have remembered instantly. But I didn't do that. So, dumb me here. I got the book, and now I got this next step, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get Journey to Ragnarok.
Journey to Ragnarok.
Yeah, which is another Viking-based system, but it's played on top of 5e. And I'm like, man, Player's Handbook isn't going to do me shit. I got to know the rules. So I bought the wrong book.
Now you got to buy the right book.
I do, but we all know, based on an episode we've had earlier, is I will eventually have all the books. It doesn't even matter.
It's going to happen.
It will. We don't like to talk about Rob's collection because he seems super spoiled. But anyhow, Oh, man. I don't remember. I want to tell you something interesting about the 5th edition Player's Handbook, though.
Yeah, lay it on me.
Okay, so, a little bit of background. I have a degree in art. Graphic design, visual communications, advertising, etc.
Right.
So I know what it takes to make physical products and, put them in people's hands. 5th edition Player Handbook has a super smooth, glossy cover. Awesome. The spine, same smooth, glossy cover. The back, half of it, same smooth, glossy cover. The other half, textured, like glued on sand. Like super soft, fine, not irritating to the touch sandpaper. Black.
That's interesting.
Dude, I picked up the book and I was like, what the hell is wrong with this? Like, what? Did I get something on it? I'm looking over, I'm like, what the hell is this crap? What?
Let me use the back of the book as sandpaper to smooth out this piece of wood I got here.
Seriously, I think I could. Absolutely. I mean, as always, as normal, the artwork is awesome and the book is easy to read, but I mean, it just seems like a funny choice.
Wow. I would assume the back of the book would be like matte. Like, not even gloss, just matte all the way across.
Truthfully, if I could get all matte covers for just about anything, I think I would prefer that. Glossy covers are nice, but I like the mattes.
Me too.
Nice. Glad we're on the same page with that. Yeah, so after we've just rambled on, it hasn't been very long, Potato, you had something else you kind of wanted to talk about, didn't you?
Let's see.
I didn't mean to throw you under the bus there, but I thought we had something you wanted to cover.
What was it? Was it the Monster Spotlight?
So
or was it another topic? 'Cause I actually can't remember the top of my head, man.
We like to do the Monster Spotlight towards the end of the episode.
Right.
So I want to definitely make sure we save that.
Let's see. What was it? We were talking before we recorded, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
It feels like forever
Talking
away.
before we record is probably a bad idea.
You know what? We say that every time.
We say that every time.
We're like, yo, let's stop talking so we can just talk about it in the show.
We already unpacked it. Now I can't find it. I was like, wow, what was it? What was I going to talk about?
Yep. Yep.
That's gone. I cannot remember. Well, maybe next episode we'll remember it.
We aren't going to remember crap next episode.
Gosh.
Man.
Where are you again?
What? I want to talk a little bit about the Pathfinder Community 1.5 spiritual build.
Oh yeah, there we go. Let's get back to that topic.
Yeah, and we touched on it briefly here, and that's acceptable. One of the things that I would really like to see, and there's a reason for this, and it makes me consider more tooling that I want to do to the tabletop RPGs that eventually will publish. But there's the issue of, in Pathfinder, humans get a +2 stat bonus to any stat.
Right.
And it's considered their versatile nature.
Yes.
Whereas other character races generally have set bonuses and drawbacks.
A penalty maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
And while that's acceptable and it works, what I would really like to see is that +2 stat bonus to any stat across the board on all base races. Because it's really disadvantageous to say that not any other race is equally versatile as humans. I mean, you could have a nimble dwarf.
That's true.
You could have a dexterous half-orc. And when you think about magic casters, what class are you going to pick? Human or elf. You get the bonuses to the needed stats.
Right. People min-max it that way. They fudge it.
Right. So coming from, and in fact, exactly what I said here, I'm not sure if any of you guys are on Reddit, but you can find me at Vile Rob. I said that coming from a min-max standpoint, leveling some of these objectives creates a better play experience for everyone. And I mean, it does. And I know that we kind of beat on 5e a little bit, but they did their best to level that field.
That's true.
And
that's true.
I think they did it well. And then our gripe comes from the fact that we can't bend the rules to make such powerful characters. Which, granted, as we talked about in the XP Valley episode, maybe we can create more powerful characters if we could ever get to a game in 5e where we were, I don't know, actually powerful.
Right. Usually it's between level 5 and 8 that all campaigns kind of settle.
Yes. Oh, you know what? I'm looking through right now, and there is somebody calling for Mega Dungeon recommendations.
Ooh, Mega Dungeon? Like, was it the Jade Spire? Is that what it's called?
Emerald Spire.
Emerald Spire. I was close.
You were really close.
Dang it.
You know, what I like to say is when I think of Mega Dungeon, I think of Tomb of Horrors.
Oh, yeah.
And, honestly, I think if you were to scale down the Tomb of Horrors, honestly, when you think of dungeons, I mean, like, the hallway is 120 feet. Whatever. It's 5 feet. Here's the next death trap. I think what makes the Tomb of Horrors such a mega dungeon is actually the fact that it's designed to kill you.
Yeah. It's designed to be not even a challenge. Just die or you're good.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Have fun. Be prepared. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think a really good mega dungeon would be really fun to play in. I haven't really played in one yet.
Well, I think the idea of a good dungeon is both deadly and entertaining due to monsters, traps, and puzzles.
Yep.
Now that also comes down to how do you make good puzzles?
I find that really hard to do. I'm always like, all right, here's the puzzle I got. Are they going to know this? No. Am I reading into this too much? I don't know. All right, just scrap the whole idea. I'll find something online.
So I'm glad that you say that because I kind of cheat really badly when it comes to puzzles and traps. And that is because I use Wally DM's Journal of Puzzle Encounters.
Oh, is that a third-party supplement book?
Yeah.
I gotta get one.
So the book has 60 puzzles that you can use to add an element of mystery, intrigue, and fun to your fantasy role-playing games. It's actually really fun. And the reason I do this is because when I think of dungeon puzzles or traps, they're pretty either linear or too video game-esque.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
When you say, hey, we have to move this statue around and turn it and whatnot, I mean, strength check, done.
Yeah.
No big deal. Hey, can I roll an intelligence check to figure out how I have to position this mirror? Yeah, I guess so. That's not really a puzzle.
No, it's not.
It's more like
you're figuring out what check you need to make to get to the next step.
Right.
Yeah.
So the reason I definitely recommend Wally DM's Journal of Puzzle Encounters is because it has actual puzzles that need actual solutions. In fact, there was one that I played, and I think you were a part of it. It was I think it was called a reverse mirror.
Yes!
And it gave you all of the clues, and you had to figure out what it was telling you, but all the clues were backwards.
Yes.
And the puzzle turns out to be a Rickroll.
It was a total Rickroll, man.
It was incredibly fun.
That was great. When I figured it out, I was like, "Oh, Rob, how dare you!"
Righteous. I mean, it's fun. I like that one.
It was so good. You got me good with that one.
Oh, dude! And again, I mean, that came from the Wally DM.
We straight up written down the text phrase, and we put a mirror up to it to see if that would make it sound like a different word. I'm like, wait a minute. I know what's going on here. It's not that the text is mirrored, it's what it's saying it's mirrored.
Right.
That was really good. I enjoy that because it's not you fishing for a check.
Right.
It's you actually using your brain for once.
Right. And I like how a lot of these times you can use these mental puzzles to help do in-game things. But one thing that I think actually breaks immersion is when somebody brings a physical, tactile puzzle to the table.
Here's the Rubik's Cube.
Right.
Solve it. You got 6 seconds. Oh, your turn.
Right. I think that things like that are neat, but I don't think that they should be a cornerstone of a specific session.
This is actually kind of funny. This reminds me of a story. This DM was doing his campaign. Everything's trying to be like cinematic. He even wrote the phrase of these 2 celestial beings are playing a game of chess, but the chess is of destiny. Blah blah. The last session, you're going to fight the big bad guy, right? He straight up brings the chessboard onto the table, and one of the players plays him in chess. And that's how they solved it. That's how they won the day. What kind of pulled under the rug of shenanigans is that?
Sounds like it came straight out of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, where they're facing against death.
Yeah!
3 out of 5.
Wait a minute, you can't move your pawn like that. Hold on.
Yeah, and as we continue to talk about Pathfinder here, I want to talk about a little bit more on a character idea. Not necessarily a character idea, but I want to talk about a character class ability that is way overpowered.
Oh, what, rage?
No. So when we think about Rob and overpowered, we think about barbarians, rage, and Thull. That makes absolute sense. But we also know that I have a complete disregard for story when it comes to optimizing characters. Sorry, guys. Yeah. I know. People are like, God, I'd hate playing with Rob as well. Trust me, you'd have a great time.
He makes it work.
I do. And it's funny, too, because when I play with new DMs, I'm like, let's hassle them the right way so they can, little thick skin, figure out how to say no. It works. When I play with an experienced DM, they're like, Rob, stop your stupid-ass shenanigans.
Okay.
I still don't. And I apologize to my DM, my primary, the DM I have played with for 10 plus years. I broke down and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm such a shenanigans player. I get it now. I understand how irritating it is, and I'm sorry. So this character class ability is not shenanigans, but it is OP as hell. And that is when you are playing a cleric. Can you guess what domain?
Nope.
No?
What, healing domain? What's so overpowered about the domains?
The madness domain.
What special ability do they get?
All right.
I don't know that domain.
So, with the Pathfinder, the cleric of madness domain build. And the reason it's ridiculous, and I kind of put this together here, it's actually it's a little bit of the feat combination with the special ability, and it is I'm trying to find the exact ability here because it's ridiculous. So Visions of Madness, and this is its supernatural ability. All right, you can give a creature a Vision of Madness as a melee touch attack.
All right.
So we know that touch attacks resolve against touch AC, which on almost every creature, their touch AC is significantly lower than their primary AC.
Oh, yeah.
Choose one of the following attack rolls, saving throws, or skill checks. So you choose one of these 3 things. The target receives a bonus to the chosen roll equal to half your cleric level, at a minimum +1, and a penalty to the 2 other types of rolls, equal to half your cleric level, a minimum of -1. The effect fades after 3 rounds, and you can use the ability a number of times per day, equal to 3 plus your wisdom modifier.
All right.
So, no saving throws. No spell resistance.
Really? You just do it?
You just do it.
As long as you hit their touch AC,
as long
which
as
is
you
easy.
hit it. Negative a +1 to attack rolls, saving throws, or skill checks. So what are you going to do when you're facing the big bad evil guy?
So I'll be given the plus to the skill check, so everything else gets a penalty.
Saving throws and attack rolls.
That's going to be my next character, Rob.
Now, again, to half your cleric level.
Right.
Okay? Now you take certain feat builds that up your effective cleric level.
When you cast that spell.
Now remember, it's a special...
Or a special supernatural ability.
Right.
Right.
A lot of times, this doesn't influence that. But when it specifically states that it does, yeah.
That's why it's madness.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, it's probably one of the most OP builds that you can develop.
Why would we need a witch? You got him.
Honestly, it's one of those things that most people don't think about Madness Domain. You know?
Yeah. I immediately assume, well, madness means you have this certain alignment. That's going to mess up your character.
Nope.
But no, that's amazing.
Nope. You can stick. You can stick with even neutral good.
Okay.
Because there's a god who is within one step of neutral good, who falls in the Madness Domain, and it's one of those things that really just kicks off nonstop. And
that's a really neat idea.
Right. It's ridiculous.
Can't remember the top of my head, but I know when I made a witch, like, gosh, what was it, almost a year or so ago now? I did do the Insanity patron, because I can't remember the special stuff that I did, but I was like, oh, this is great. I can't wait to launch this off. Never had a chance, but that's really great. A Madness Domain Cleric. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just imagine the RP side of it, too. That's really flavorful in my eyes.
Depending. Now, I'm not sure if you remember when we were playing in a campaign I was running where I think he was one of our players was a paladin and he lost touch with his god.
Yeah, he lost his paladin abilities a little bit.
Yeah, I don't remember if he was a paladin or a cleric. I remember he had to have been a paladin. He had to have been lawful. No, maybe he was a cleric.
Can't remember. No, he was a war priest, wasn't he? No. Anyhow, had to be a cleric.
I think he was a cleric, and the reason I say that is because I told him, I said, hey, because you've lost your abilities to speak with your god, you can always attune, but it's going to take some time. So you can't just be like, yo, I lost my abilities, I attune, I'm back in good graces. That bothers me. We'll talk about that in a second. So I was like, yo, here are some options available to you because you're role-playing in such this manner that you could actually go Madness Cleric. You could find a god who will step in and be like, yo, if you're going to stay crazy, let's keep giving you more abilities. And we actually ended up canceling the game before we got too far. I don't remember why. I want to say it's because everybody stopped showing up and we switched ideas.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Dude, it's so horrible. So horrible. So, yeah, I love the idea. And I think when somebody role plays and you can make a character next to their role play, it's really cool. On the flip side, I got a few players who keep trying to give themselves awesome shit because their backstory says they have it. And that irritates the heck out of me.
Now, you shouldn't make a backstory that gives you this stuff and just expect it to happen. You definitely should talk to the DM like, hey, I got this idea. What do I need to do to pull this off? I might not have the money for it, but I'll sacrifice a class level for it. Something. Don't just be like, oh, it's in my backstory. I get it, right? That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Why would you think that?
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Thinking of some of the other things I've been talking to some people online about. One of them, I thought of you when I read this one too, was what kind of funny magic items have you put in your games? And
well, you homebrew items?
Yeah, you really try for some of these sometimes.
Oh yeah. So I had this one item that I haven't got to use for you guys, but it was a banter shield. It was a shield that could talk and do actions, but the actions are usually like a buff debuff spell of a certain list that I had. But the idea was it would overhype you. It'd be like your hype guy while you're in combat. And while it's getting hit because it's a shield, he's like, "Oh, what are you doing to me, bro?" and constantly badgering you. But while you're doing good, he's hyping you back up. That's all he is. It's all me being ridiculous in RP wise. It wasn't really that great of an item, but I thought that'd be really fun just for a little bit.
See, I like the idea, and I think that it shows that there's a huge divide too. And the divide comes from what we really like as DMs and what we fantasize about as players to the reality of games. Because there's going to be no banter. It's going to be like, I use my banter shield to soak up the damage, and I just attack.
Yeah, that's usually right. That's kind of why I didn't bring it up. I'm like, this sounded good in my head, but in the actual mechanical field, it might not be pulled off.
Right, and it's that story RP that you want to see, you want to have, that you do not get. Because truthfully, a lot of RP players really just like to roll dice and boom, I do this.
People like to be cool. People don't like to play funny unless you're trying to be funny.
Well, not just that.
That's usually the thing. Like, gag items don't get the time to play as gag items.
Well, you mention it once or twice, and then all of a sudden, it's done. It's people want to play, they don't want to describe.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And so I mentioned one of my favorite funny items, and that was the coconuts of fast travel.
Yeah, I read that.
And with the coconuts of fast travel, it was while clopping them together, two halves of the coconut together, you could travel the distance of a horse in 8 hours, which is 40 miles in Pathfinder, versus the normal 24 miles that you could travel on foot in 8 hours.
Right.
Just kind of funny, and it's a Monty Python reference.
The reference items are gold. They're amazing.
Absolutely. Now, I also hate it when most people don't get my references. I mean, it makes me feel like I am either too endowed with pop culture, or I am so ingrained in pop culture that they're obscure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could be how you executed it. Maybe you just said it in such a way that just went right over the radar. I don't know.
I think that may be the case too, because
because I'm bad at explaining things sometimes, Well, it could be just the case.
Truthfully, based on the episode with your player spotlight, I would not say you're bad at explaining things. You're just really good. No,
that wasn't even what I wanted to do. In my head, I'm like, shut up. And I'm just screaming in my head about just jabbering on.
So I want to tell.
Shut up, Brandon.
I want to tell our viewers, our listeners, about a great story that you actually did to me. This happened, I don't know, shortly after we first met. I have never seen Rick and Morty.
Oh yes, yep.
To this day, I still have not seen a full episode of Rick and Morty.
You gotta give it a shot.
If it's on, I don't flip the channel right away, but apparently if I don't start at the beginning, it just doesn't make sense. So, these are 30-minute long episodes of Rick and Morty. And Potato spends a good 2 hours explaining to me a 30-minute episode of a cartoon.
Right, because I was telling you the other nuances and references that I had to other episodes. This is why this part here was special and really funny.
Right. Whereas I had never seen one episode, and Potato's telling me about the first episode and the references to all these other episodes of other shows. I'm like, Potato, bro, I don't get it. I don't know why this is funny.
So the reason why Szechuan sauce was so funny in this episode here is because 30 minutes later. Now, anyways, the reason why it was so funny. Right. So I'm bad at
that. For every 2 minutes of relevant story, I had 10 minutes of side quests. And I think that also plays into your character spotlight idea, which is next episode.
Yeah. I took some notes from last character spotlight. It's going to be a lot more streamlined, a lot more to the point. You guys can be a bit more entertained listening to me jabber on about this one.
That's good.
But I feel like talking about this kind of brought up a light in my head. I will be a very bad old person. I'll be that person talking about the cheese I got last month to a person I just met at the bus stop.
Yeah, I could see that, considering one day you asked me for a ride home and you gave me a 20-minute story on why you're asking. I'm like, dude, you could just ask. You don't have to tell me why.
I'm so used to people telling me no, so I had to explain. I don't know. I got no
You want
reason
the
for
sob
it.
story? Give me a sob story so you don't say no.
I got a lip in my leg. I can't walk.
I don't care. No,
And
you're
2
not
years
gonna
ago, I was in an accident, you see.
No, seriously, you do it all the time.
I do all the time. I'm bad.
It's okay. Which is actually really funny about our podcast. I have had a lot of caffeine shortly before our episode. So I feel like I'm talking at 100 miles an hour and not giving you an opportunity to really speak, and I'm sorry.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
That's good.
As long as they know what you're saying, you're not going too fast for ears, we're good.
Super. Not to mention you'll bore them to sleep next episode.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. But, we're nearing the end, and you were saying that you do have a monster spotlight today, right?
I do. This monster is another magical beast, kind of like the last monster spotlight.
Sure thing. We're still in Pathfinder, right?
Still in Pathfinder, but I did pull up some information of 5th E as well.
Okay, what are we looking at, man?
The Aurum Vorax.
Aurum Vorax?
Yes, the
I'm not
Aurum
familiar.
Vorax. It's a long name. For some reason, it feels alien in nature,
It
but
does.
the name completely belies the design of the creature.
Okay.
It's essentially a big honey badger with 8 legs.
Yeah, so
It eats gold.
I'm bringing that up right now. It looks like it came from Forgotten Realms, so it's got a little bit of history to it.
Yep, it does have some history to it. I think it's from first edition. I think as far back as it goes, tabletop wise. But yeah, it's a pretty neat creature. It locates gold. It can sense the gold veins in the ground and whatnot. It likes to burrow in the sides of hills and whatnot, and kind of make that their warren, their burrow stash of all the gold nuggets they have. Because here's why they love gold, or they need the gold. If they don't eat gold in like a span of I think it was a week, they die. So,
I mean, ultimately, what we're looking at here now as a quick note, the Aurum Vorax also is known as the Golden Gorger.
yes.
It doesn't look like it has an actual history outside of the game.
No, I think I read a Reddit post saying that it's from an American folklore, like Native Americans. But when I tried digging deeper, I couldn't find anything. The only thing I think of is maybe it had a different name, and when Wizards of the Coast made the Aurum Vorax, they just kind of took the concept and kept their name. I'm not really sure how that happened.
Who knows?
But it's a pretty neat idea.
When you said 8 legs, before you said 8 legs, and it looks like a honey badger, I first initially thought spider of some kind.
Yeah, the 8 legs definitely made you think spider in
Yep.
concept, but it's not. It's just long.
Yeah, and truthfully, the pictures that they have on the internet of this thing are pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's pretty sick looking, man. Looks
absolutely.
ferocious.
So as we're looking at this thing, I mean, it doesn't seem to be overpowered.
No,
by any means.
It's fairly balanced. In Pathfinder terms, it is a challenge rating 9.
Right. So that means going toe to toe in a slugfest. It should be on par with a level 9 character, going all out.
Yes.
So it's hit points. I mean, we've reached over 100 hit points. Its AC's over 20.
Which is insane. It is a small creature after all, but still, that's a pretty high AC for a natural beast.
That's right. It is. It is an actual small creature. So that, in my head, I kept envisioning medium.
Yeah,
it seems like it would fit better as a
wolf.
medium. Yeah,
I when I saw the images, I thought, oh, it's a wolf,
right?
But no, it's like a honey badger.
Yeah, yeah. And looking at some of this, it's got some really cool abilities. We're already looking at damage reduction 10, piercing, slashing.
Yeah.
So piercing or slashing will break that damage resistance. I remember a lot of people say that if it doesn't say magic, it still takes 10 off magical attacks.
Yep.
So that's cool. It's immune to poison. It's got a resistance to fire by 10. It comes with a burrow speed of 10 feet, so it can go underground.
Oh, yeah. It can also rake, with its 4 claw attacks that it can do. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really good at grappling you. I think that's its bread and butter, is its grab ability.
So it looks like the idea, because your grab ability is directly attached to the bite and the claws. So it looks like its bread and butter would be the idea to burrow and to come up underground.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
And bite or grab from below the player.
And pull you under.
I don't know if pulling you under is much of a possibility because of how burrow works.
Oh, okay. I'm not really sure how burrow works.
Burrow is your ability to travel underground, essentially by tunneling.
Oh, is this a travel speed? That's really all it is. Not like you're actually making a tunnel mechanically.
No, you're making a tunnel.
Oh, okay.
There's a path to follow.
Oh, okay.
When you burrow. So burrow. So the details in burrow, they can tunnel through dirt, but not through rock, unless it says otherwise. Creatures cannot charge or run. Most burrowing creatures do not leave behind tunnels, or creatures can use... other creatures can use either because the material they tunnel through fills in behind them, or because they don't actually dislocate any material when burrowing. So I would say that this burrow, it probably disturbs the soil doesn't let you follow behind it.
That makes sense.
But it would also cause you not to be able to drag them down.
Right.
But if you can just pop up, bite or claw, and its bread and butter is grab, so you grab, it's got the bonus to grapple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely bread and butter right there if you think about that.
It's actually
tactic.
a pretty strong creature, too, especially considering that it's small size.
Small side, and its strength comes in at 21.
That's beefy.
That is definitely beefy. I mean, that's the kind of strength that characters look at when they're trying to get their half-orc barbarian. I like that. And I like the funny concept of the fact that it has to eat gold within a week, because gold is valuable in the game.
Yes.
So keeping one of these as a pet or as a attack trap.
Yeah, you think, but I think it actually says in one of these areas down here below in its flavor text that it can't be trained because they're too ferocious.
Yep, I just caught that. They're impossible to train.
So I thought it'd be great for a miner, like find the gold boy, but you can't.
Well, it says that their offspring are valued for training as guard beasts.
Oh, so they have to be from a young age.
Well, sure,
Kinda
but
like imprinted.
Well, remember, guard beast is different than a pet.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, it's there to essentially attack whatever.
Right.
It's there to be an opponent, an enemy.
I wonder how much gold it needs to eat to be sustained for a week.
You know what? I don't...
Because it's like a whole gold bar, or is it one gold piece? Like, here you go. Cling, here's a coin. I'll see you next week, pal.
As we're reading through, let's see. Here's the first paragraph on the PFSRD. Oromvoraxes are aggressive creatures, led solitary lives except when they mate. Adults typically claim the hunting area within a mile of their warrens, ruthlessly driving away other predators. Now this is funny too, because as we just talked about, I haven't actually gone through every animal in the bestiary. I'm not super familiar with this one in particular, so hearing that they are super ferocious predators, I'm like, you know what? Let's start to kind of include these, because excuse me. In addition to fresh meat, they're also fond of gnawing on metals, particularly gold and copper, which, whether they do this to sharpen their teeth or because of some nutritional need, is unknown. Warrens can stretch for thousands of feet, offering winding deep into the earth. The Ivorish appetite has earned them the appellation of Golden Gorger among dwarves who have lost more than a few miners to the dangerous beasts. So this doesn't specifically say that they actually need to eat gold.
Maybe I got... I think I got that information specifically from the 5e text, I do so believe.
It's
from Forgotten Realms, it says, without gold, it would become ill and die in around a week.
There we go. So, I mean, I would assume that they have to eat some form of gold, enough to sustain them at least.
Right.
I mean, that would be up to the DM's discretion at that point.
These guys have a plus 12 against being tripped.
Well,
they
it's 'cause
got
they got 8
plus
legs.
12 to their grapple. Yeah, that's so high of a number. That's
It is.
amazing.
It is. And what I really like about that plus 12, by the way, and the multiple legs, is the fact that I have played a trip specialist character before.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and
Let me guess, did you use a scythe?
No.
No? I would have.
No. Chained whip.
Oh, okay.
Awesome, by the way. Really irritated my DM.
I trip them.
Yeah, I gotta stop telling stories where it's always prefaced with "I irritated my DM."
It's a theme.
Guys, I am not a bad player.
I like shenanigans.
I like to min-max my character. I have a good time kicking ass, okay? That's plain and simple.
Hey, having a good time is having a good time.
You know what sucks is when you're having a good time as a melee character kicking ass, and then the blaster, like the magic caster, standing back 300 feet, safe from his damn pillow, and he's all like, boom, they're dead. I'm like, thanks for ruining my good time. How come he's not chastised?
Well, because he was playing his character accordingly.
Right. I didn't even maximize my damage. I'm like, brah, you didn't have to. You roll 42 d6s, you asshole.
Fireball.
All right? Seriously, I just roll 3 d8s, and I get a buttload of extra damage, and you're complaining? Okay, you took him out with a fireball. I had to do 4 attacks. Why are you complaining about my tripping character?
Not only did I spend 2 turns to get up to them, or you just stood still.
Yeah, you glorious a-hole. I mean, I like casters, but I mean, seriously.
In a real life setting, I'm pretty sure there'd be arguments like that, though, for real. Like, I'm in the thick of it, and you're standing there in the back. How about you help us out a little bit? I'm helping. Fireball.
Well, really, if you think about that in, like, reality-type terms, if magic was a thing and casting damage magic by any means was possible, nobody would want to do anything else but long-range warfare.
Yeah.
In fact, you don't even need magic. It's doable now. It's what we do as a country. We're
It's
like
called guns.
We're like, I can shoot you from a mile. I don't care what you have.
Right.
I'm just going to launch this warhead at you because, I'm a country away and don't feel like sending anybody over to kick your door down. That's what we do. Ever
since the Cold War, baby.
It's been before the Cold War, man. But, so funny story as we try to wrap up this episode. I read or heard once that the thing that makes humans different than any other animal is the fact that we can kill from a distance.
Yeah, it's true.
And honestly, I strongly believe that sentiment because other animals have ways to communicate with each other, as we have ways to communicate with each other. Most of them have a form of hierarchy, like we have a form of hierarchy. There's a social order. There are expectations, etc. There is a natural flow of things in other species' lives. And really the only thing... And people are like, well, they don't have thumbs. Well, they're designed to not need thumbs.
Yeah, they don't need them.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Thumbs don't make them smart. All right?
Yeah.
Rats are smart. Crows and ravens are incredibly intelligent. Dolphins are smart.
Yeah.
They're like, some of these animals have the intelligence of a 3-year-old. I mean, we're talking about animals with third grade or 3-year-old intelligence levels. All right, the fact that we're different is not because of thumbs; it's because we kill at a distance.
Right. Saying that it's because of thumbs makes it sound like there's like a brain in your thumb that's dictating why you're so superior, so much smarter.
Sure,
that's not the case.
Right, and
it's articulation. That doesn't change anything.
Right, the fact that we can grab things. I mean, seriously, birds grab it with their claws, their talons, their feet. Rodents don't have opposable thumbs. In fact, squirrels have thumbs that are so magical, by the way, we're going to talk about thumbs for a second, that they can rotate from top to bottom, and that's why they can climb up and down trees so well.
Oh, yeah.
Is because their thumbs are not only opposable by some measure, minus a second joint or third joint or whatever, but they have more range of motion. Seriously?
If they had a phone, they'd probably be really good at texting.
I've seen movies that feature squirrels, and...
Oh, that doesn't count.
Usually they're animated, but the squirrels are too neurotic to text. Speaking of squirrels, I want to talk about a character I had in a game.
Oh! What was his name?
It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
That was a good time.
I want to talk about him next episode.
Yes.
Primarily because we're running so low on time now. But yeah, so our new website we talked about briefly at the beginning of the episode. I said in a previous episode that with the release of the new year, which is now, that we were going to close down our play-by-post community.
Yep.
And we did. That's gone. And I was going to close down the forum community itself because it was super inactive. I couldn't do that. I couldn't really bring myself to completely sack the discussion forums.
All right.
So even if it's nice and slow building, it's still there. There are things I want to use it for.
Gotcha.
I know that we have our Facebook group at Facebook.com at Epic Table Games, and Facebook/groups/Epic Table Games. But because, like I said earlier, I'm bad at this business thing and bad at social media in general, I don't keep it posted as often. But I'm really weird. I'm on our website all the time. It's not even a social network, but I check it every day.
That's actually good. I need to start getting into it myself.
Yeah, because your blog post just came up about that build that you bored us with a few weeks ago.
That's right, the anti-magic tank. And the post was formatted a lot better than the way I did in the episode. So
yeah,
if you ever get on there, you have a good time reading it. I'm going to be doing future posts in the same fashion,
good
if
deal.
Not even more optimized.
Good deal.
So yeah,
good deal.
Well, great website. I love that we kind of what do you want to call it? Redid it, I guess is the best way to say it. We kind of
it's redesigned.
Gave it a refresher.
Absolutely, we built it on a different platform. We integrated a few other things to it. I really sacked a lot of the features that were causing miscommunication issues on the back end. So,
right, coding is a bitch,
dude. I don't know how many people. I don't know how large our audience is who understands a lot of coding, but it's the kind of thing where you try to keep it organized and beautiful. It's considered beautiful code if everything's on its own line and easy to read and easy to follow.
Right.
But we're using things like parentheses, brackets, quotation marks, semicolons, colons, periods, all when needed, and in hundreds of thousands of characters, tens of thousands of characters, thousands of lines of code between multiple different pages that are all integrated and referencing other sections of code. If you miss a small character, it will destroy the entire thing.
Yep. It's all it needs is one character to be missing or misplaced.
Right. I mean, it's the difference between working and not working. So, all right, guys, we're gonna call it here. Check out next episode for my quick stupid squirrel story. It is related to our tabletop games. Don't worry about that. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/epictablegames if you just want to check out the page, or if you want to join the group of totally inactive fans, I guess. That's facebook.com/groups/epictablegames. And as always, come check out the website, you know it, at epictablegames.com.
Epic Table, Epic Games, epictablegames.com.
We have an outro.
Oh, hey, you know what? How dare you?
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Epic Table Games. Epic Table Games. Twice. Nights. Roll. Nights. Fantastic. Night. Fairy tales. Dragons. Twice. Nights. Roll. Nights. Fantastic. Night. Make way for the paladins. Yeah. Make way for the paladins. Yeah. Epic Table Games. Make way for the paladins. Yeah. Make way for the paladins. Yeah. Epic Table Games. Thank you for listening to the Epic Table audio show with the paladins of the podcast, Rob and Potato. Until next time, stay in touch on Facebook at Epic Table Games and online at epictablegames.com. Yeah. Epic Table Games. Yeah.